Hi guys, this is Avinash Sharma, and in this video we will discuss the data frame in Python. You must have heard about the SQL Server or SQL database. In the SQL database we can store the data in a particular format that is called the table, and table is consist of the row and columns. And the same way we can store the data in row and column using the data frame. But before discussing the data frame, we have to understand the pandas. So before discussing the data frame, first of all we have to understand the pandas package or library, because the panda is very powerful library in the Python which provides the functions or command for manipulating the data. As I told you, that we store the data in SQL Server in a table format, the same thing we can do with the using the pandas, the library of the Python. Using the pandas, we can store the data easily, manipulate the data, retrieve the data, and analyze the data. Because the data frame using the panda provides the same type of structure what we have in SQL Server. What are the pandas data frame? So we understand with this diagram. As you can see the diagram, we have the data, and the data we store in the table format, that is called the row and columns. As you see, in horizontal format we have the row, that is row 1, row 2, row 3 and row 4, and in vertical form we have the columns. Column 1, column 2, column 3, column 4, column 5, and these are the headers of the table, say name, EMPID, phone number, address, and is married, that is the status. So, but when we talk about the row, it is a collection of the columns. Say in first row we have the name, employee ID, phone number, address, is married. So all together this data is called the row in horizontal form, and in the columns we have the data in vertical form. The same format is followed by the data frames using the pandas. If we check the other diagrams, in the first diagram we can see what are the rows in vertical forms, say row 1, row 2, row 3, and in a Python each and every row has its own index number, and that index number starts from the 0. Say the index number for the row 1 would be the 0, then for row 2 it would be the 1, because the index number always starts from the 0. And in the second diagram you can check the columns in vertical format. So these are the data, column 1, column 2, and I told you the name. It's a identification. It means what kind of data we have in this column. We have the list of the name in this column. Then we have the employee ID, then phone number. So this kind of data we can store using the pandas data frame. How to create the data frame? So we check with practical. So as you can see, the data frame can be created with the different sources, from the permanent source and the temporary source or temporary collection. Like we can create the data frame from the files, say CSV file, Excel file, or SQL database. Then also we can create the data frame from the list, collection, dictionaries, and other resource too. So first of all we check the very simple program. In this program, first of all we import the pandas library, and then we create the instance of this panda library. And if you do not have the pandas library in your Python, then first of all you have to install the pandas library in your Python. Then we have the list of the elements, string elements, the color of the list of the colors, and finally then we take the instance of the pandas PDS and then use the function of that library, that is the data frame. And in this data frame we are passing the data, a list, as a parameter. Then we print this one. Now we check. So we can see the result. In this result, first of all, if we check the header, that is a 0, because in this program we are not defining the header. We are just defining the list of element, that is the values. And then the first column we have the index number. As I told you, the Python automatically create the index number for each and every row, and the for the first row it is the 0, then 1, 2, 3 and so on. Now if we check the second example, in the second example we are using the narray and the list. So again we import the pandas, then we have the name, in the dictionary and the age, and then within these name and age we have another list, that is the list of students Anil, Sunil, Mahesh, and then their age 21. Now again data frame function, then we pass that parameter as a data and then assign these value, this table to this variable df, and then we print the df. If we check this program, now we have the headers, name and age. In the name we have the name column, we have the list of the students, then their ages. Again the first column is the index number of the rows. If we have some file, in file we have the data like permanently. So suppose we want to read the CSV file. So first of all we are reading the CSV file and we are using the command read underscore CSV file. So we are assuming that data.csv file, it is already in our Python folder. So if you check this one, I have uploaded that file already, this one data.csv. So if you do not mention the path of the file, then it takes the file from their own path. So now we check this CSV first. So this is the data123 file, but I have uploaded this data.csv, renaming the file data.csv in the Python. So in this file we have the data, name, id, age, mobile number, then salary, then city. Now if I run this one, then we have the data, name, id, age, mobile number, salary, and city. Again the first column is the index number of the row 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So if we check the next one, suppose we have the data in the Excel file, and this time I have the file on my desktop, because I told you, like, if you are not using any path, then it will take the from the default path, and if you want to use the file from the different path, then you can mention the path. So my file right now is on the desktop, that is the student.xls. If I check that file on desktop, this one student.xl, and open this file, so this is the file, name, age, stream, and percentage, name of the students, then age, then their subject and percentage. So if I check this one, and now, so if I run this program, then we have the data, name, age, stream, and the percentage, again the index number as a first column. So if we check the next one, sometimes we need to read the selected columns from the Excel file. For that purpose we have a reserved word, that is the user columns. In this column we are using the 0, 2, 3. It means if we check this Excel file, and then for the name it's a 0, age 1, then stream 2, and the percentage 3. That is the index number of these columns. So we are accessing the 0, 2, 3. If I check this one, then we have the name, stream, and percentage. So we are not accessing the age, that is on the index number 1. And suppose if I select only 0, then run this program, then we have only one column, that is the name. Now next one, we check also one more important feature of the Excel files. Suppose we Excel file and we want to skip some row from the top, say 2 row, 3 row, 5 row, it could be any number of row, and then in this command we are using the same student Excel file from the desktop, and then we have the sheet name, because in Excel there could be the multiple sheet. So by default we are using the first one, that is the 0, and then again reserved word, that is the skip row. It means we want to skip the 2 row from the top. So if I run this one, then that is the Rahul, Shaurya, Aishwarya, Priyanka. If I check Excel one, then the name, first row, and Ankit, these 2 rows are skipped. Then it starts from the Rahul, Shaurya, and Aishwarya. Now suppose you want to access the data from the JSON file or JSON data, and if you know how to create the JSON file, then you can create your own JSON file, or you can create the data on the program itself. So right now we have the data on the program itself. So we have a data, and then that is the root block root bracket, and then within the root we have the another child root, then duration. This is the number of the value, these values 60, 60, 60 duration, then another block, after comma another block pulse, then 110, 117, 103, and then another block, child block, that is the max pulse 130, 145, 133, and then we pass this data JSON into the data frame and then print. If we check this, then we have this result, duration, pulse and max pulse. So this is how we can create the data from the JSON file. So guys, this was all about the data frame and how to create the data frame from the different resources. In the next video we will discuss how to create the data frame from the SQL database, how to connect the database, how to store the database, how to fire the SQL query on the database. So guys, thanks for watching the video. Please like the video and subscribe the channel. Thank you.